For today's Domain Sherpa review, we're joined for the first time by Andrew Miller, one of the original domain name investors. Fascinating history. We discuss trends in the domain space, hand registrations right now, some tips for name bio searches, and also we have a particularly hot list on NameJet, especially for experienced investors. Enjoy the show. Hey, Sherpa Network. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Tess Diaz, executive producer of DomainSherpa.com, and today we're doing a Domain Sherpa review panel. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics to become better investors ourselves. We'll do our 3 segments to the review. First, learning what the Sherpas recently bought or sold. Then we'll preview some domains going to auction soon at NameJet.com and whether the Sherpas think they're a good investment opportunity for you. And our third segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the market, particularly the crypto market and what's going on. Joining us today, we have 3 industry thought leaders. We're going to start out. Welcome, Drew Rosener, CEO of Media Options. Hey, how you doing?
Good. Good. Been a couple of weeks. Glad to be back.
Delighted to see you again. We're expecting your full humor. I love your response. I mentioned before we started filming that you did not get the all black shirt memo, and your immediate answer was, I like to be an outlier.
Yep, story of my life.
It is. Summarizes who you are and how you think, Drew.
For better or worse.
Josh Reason, thank you for coming on again. Founder of DNWE, the Domain Name Wholesale Exchange. How you doing, Josh? What's happening?
Doing great. Yeah, I've been really busy, but yeah, no, overall I'm doing really well. Thanks.
Yeah, looks like it's been a minute since you had a haircut.
and a shave. Yeah, I've decided that until this quarantine is over, that's not happening. I'm not doing it by myself.
I will be interviewing your wife in about a month and see what she has to say about that.
You're gonna be orthodox by the end.
Yeah.
Maybe. And Andrew Miller, it is such a delight to have you of ATM Holdings. You were such an OG in the domain space, but I don't know how much of the Sherpa Network is familiar with you and all your accomplishments. Will you please take a minute and brag a little bit, tell us who you are and your history in the domain space?
I will, and thanks for having me on short notice. I too need a haircut. It's been 6 weeks till I got this thing shaven, so I'm trying to train my daughter how to get a YouTube video, how to buzz cut it, order a buzzer and get it done here. Ironically, I was actually excited to kind of reemerge back in the domain space a little more publicly. I keynoted the first or second traffic ever, the first Domain Fest, and I was actually going to go return to NamesCon in January, and suddenly I read about this virus in China, and I called up Drew, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to go to this thing. Am I crazy? And he's like, I just canceled my trip. And I'm like, I know, I think I'm going to too. And, in hindsight, it was probably a little premature and a little ripe, but I think we were early on that.
Yeah.
So I've known Drew for a long time, and you, Tess, as well. I've been in the domain space since I bought our first domain name in 1998, beer.com, and flipped it for $7+ million 90 days later.
What domain?
Beer.com.
Beer, B-E-E-R.
Yeah, it was Zappy, and we did that, and we got, stroke of luck, and very quickly turned that around for a nice sale. I've subsequently bought and have sold $180 million of domains, which is certainly dwarfed by Drew over here in Media Options, but not too many individuals out there have done that kind of volume in at least 11 7-figure and 2 8-figure sales. Other than Drew, most of them are done by platforms, right? So been doing this a long time. I founded 2 operating businesses on generic domains, creditcards.com, which I sold to Austin Ventures and Click Success in 2004, and insurancequotes.com in 2010, sold that to Bankrate. Both of those were businesses built on domain brands, and both are still market leaders today. I sold them way early, but did very, very well. And kind of started to, I've always obviously been involved in domains for my own businesses, and kind of laid low, but, you know, get a lot of calls to help buy a domain, sell a domain over the years. And in the last couple of years, really thought this asset class was going to explode and come back strong, and started to reemerge a little bit more publicly.
That is fabulous. Andrew, tell us how you got into the domain space so early.
So interesting story that I, you know, did tell. God, I mean, honestly, it feels like that first and second traffic conference was eternity ago, when we all kind of got going in this and started. And I think Drew was probably there, I assume. I think you were.
No.
Not yet. Not even there yet. Okay.
No.
So my first, you know, I came off of Wall Street, started my first company, which was a television production company that partnered with very established brands and companies from, including the Grateful Dead, Diana Ross, Itzhak Perlman, the NFL, NASCAR. So a lot of, in 1998, 97, 98, producing these shows, a lot of these companies were, Grateful Dead were on the intranet, making money, selling product before there was an internet. So some of these, the NFL teams were online, you know, even before like Amazon or Google, or before the Gap had a website, but it was like crazy hard to get on television, right? We had, you know, the only way we got on was because we had these incredible partners that everybody wanted to air about. And I'm like, how do we like have our own television network without raising like $4 billion and trying to buy one? And, you know, kind of saw the internet through some of these partners on the TV side and was like, wow, what if we bought like beer.com? What if we bought diamond.com? What if we had a category domain that had at the time a lot more type in traffic than we have today, right? Because there was no Google. You know, there was Netscape and Yahoo and AOL. So type in traffic, direct navigation traffic was really huge. And how do we have our own traffic? And then we decided, well, what's the good domain to buy? And we kind of came up with a plan for a little random and luck. You know, who advertises in the Super Bowl? That's got to be a good category. And we had a chance to go grab beer.com from a college kid, and we did it. And then thereafter, diamond.com, and then shop.com. And well, way back when, a couple that didn't work out ultimately, but telephone.com and television.com. And we're actually, I'm a partner and a shareholder in phone.com today, which is still doing well, but telephone.com was way back when. And then, you know, bought creditcards.com in 2001. Is kind of right when Google was being born. And we were lucky enough to get the page one of Google for a long, long time on that term, credit cards. And, you know, that was worth $40,000 a month in commissions, just page one of Google. So
Yeah.
With that domain.
At that time. Today it's
At
worth.
that time.
Yeah. What's it worth today? 10x.
God, easily.
Easily, yeah.
Insurance quotes too, right? I mean, we mimic the same thing with insurance quotes, where we, you know, got the page one for the word insurance quotes. You know, we got the page two for auto insurance, and, you know, that was worth $200,000 a month. So you even just go from 2004 when we sold credit cards to 2010 when we sold insurance quotes. Just those 6 years, you had natural traffic went up 5x. It
was really months, maybe weeks before you sold insurancequotes.com. I was representing another group, and they wanted to buy insurancequotes.net. And for 3 months, I negotiated with this guy. He's in the backwoods, middle of nowhere of like, I don't know, backwoods New York or New Hampshire or, you know, Massachusetts or something, somewhere in the western part of one of those states, like middle of nowhere. This dude like hasn't seen society in decades. And this guy owns one of probably the single best keyword.net domain portfolios on the planet. I don't think he's ever sold one of them. And we offered this guy $1 million, I swear to you, $1 million for insurancequotes.net, a virgin domain with nothing on it. And the guy said no, he just wouldn't sell it. He wouldn't even give us a price. And he has his portfolio of domain. And it was like, what are you doing with these? And he had all the, I'm going to build this, I'm going to build that, blah, blah, blah. To this day, he's still, just a couple months ago, I actually looked back to see, is this guy still on it? Still has it, has every one of the domains, hasn't done a thing with them. And, you know, a decade later, I think insurancequotes.net, still a good domain, but it's worth, he'd be hard pressed to get more than mid 5 figures for that domain. And, you know, in the midst of a COVID-19 crisis, we're talking, you know, low 5 figures. But,
and just one thing on that. So, you know, when we had the chance, you know, I was actually approached on insurancequotes.com because the owner had received an offer for $1.5 million, I believe, and was a friend of mine in the business and domain guy. And he said, hey, you know, before I sell it, you know, would you want to try to operate it like you did with credit cards? Would you be interested? I'll contribute it in, you know, as long as I get that $1.5 million kind of value out off the top of a sale. Yeah. And, you know, I'll take, you know, some upside and run with it. And that's kind of how it evolved. So I said, yeah, give me a day. And we ended up doing a deal very quickly. And, you know, obviously, you know, did a lot better on the outcome of that. So, and at the end of the day, so it was same kind of thing, given a, you know, opportunity to hold on, my guy's going to want me. But I'm going to have to stand up for a minute and let my dog out my door here. Is that okay if I go off screen? Well, I'll have my phone.
Yeah.
Only if we get to see the dog. No,
all right.
Totally fine. Yeah. So let's get started on a domain that was recently bought or sold.
There he is.
Oh my God.
What's his name?
His name is Cisco, and he's, as I said, he's almost 18. There he is, but he wants to go downstairs. He's an old man. He's like 100 and something in human years. So
yeah, like 130 or something.
Yeah, that's really, really
it's a little less for a smaller dog. Actually, it's not that 7 multiple. Okay. It's like 4 or something like that.
Did not know that. Josh, do you have a dog? A pet?
No pets. No, don't have room.
You want one?
Okay. Yeah, you have a second baby on the way. You gotta focus.
We were thinking about getting a puppy like maybe a year and a half ago. We were thinking about either getting a Labrador or a Labradoodle, and I'm glad that we didn't. It would have been nice, but I'm glad that we didn't.
Yeah, I hear you. When's the second baby due? Soon.
First week of June.
Yeah. That's a lot. Busier than a puppy. So Josh, what's a name you recently bought or sold? No price.
Oh, so I have a name that's in escrow right now for 5 figures, but I don't want to talk about it because I haven't closed. That's on a sell side, but I'll do a buy. I think I've done sell all the other time, so I'll do a buy. Hold on 1 second. Let me just double check. Let's do beunstoppable.com.
Ooh, interesting. Beunstoppable.com. So Andrew, this is the time where you and Drew get to just guess what you think in today's market. And then usually you throw in a little psychology if you know each other, but that's okay. What you think the price would have been on beunstoppable.com. Drew, why don't you go first? Let's go easy on Andrew so he comes back.
And this is a buy?
It was a buy.
Okay. I kind of like the name because I think, it lends itself to resilience and whatnot, which is going to be a theme coming out of all of this. So I like it. I would say, I don't think he paid much for it. I'm going to say $400.
Okay. What do you think, Andrew?
Boy. I spent so much time trying to focus around my kind of one-word generics that I kind of get in that mindset. And, but I did do a little buying in the last couple of weeks, just around kind of things that make sense right now, not certainly Corona related, but remote learning and distance learning. I'd say 1,500.
Okay. All right.
Yes. So Andrew Miller's closest. I paid $1,300 for it, which is significantly more than I wanted to pay for it, to be honest. I think I initially put in my maximum bid about $500. But it kind of goes to show the power of these auctions and just getting outbid time and time and time again at the moment. And I really, really like that name for a lot of the reasons that Drew said. I also just like the name Unstoppable in general. Obviously, not everyone is going to be able to get Unstoppable. And if you look at branding trends from end users, be unstoppable, it makes sense. I've done some work for a few brands where they've put be in front of the main name, especially when it makes sense together. So I think it works out well for people that wanted to brand themselves as unstoppable in some places. I don't personally like that way of doing things, but it is a trend. So yeah, I paid a little bit more than I wanted, but yeah, I mean, I'm getting outbid on 95% of auctions that I really, really want. I was in one the other day for qcare.com, and I think Drew was in it as well. And I mean, I wanted that name. I was
Yeah,
again,
me
I was
too.
ready to...
I walked at the last minute. I forget who outbid me, but I love that name, but it just got ridiculous.
What was it? The letter Q and then
The
care?
letter Q and then care.
Why did you love it with the letter Q? Like quarantine care?
No, so if you look at Q, so qhealth.com developed, qmedical.com developed, qmed.com developed. I think Q would probably, I think for me, I would probably think about quick.
Quality.
Quick.
Quality, quick.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fucking matter.
What did it, do you mind me asking what it went for in auction?
I think it was over
It
$2,000.
went $3,000 or something. Yeah, I think my final bid was 25 or 2,800, something like that, and then somebody outbid me, and I think they got it. I think they got it for like 3,100 or something.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, so I was ready to pay. I think 1,900 was my max bid, something like that. And I thought, honestly, I thought I'd have a good shot at getting it. But yeah, I mean, the market in terms of on the buy side in auctions, it's tough right now. I think I would say it's stronger than it was 3 months ago. So, which is strange.
Interesting. What are
on the small stuff? On the small stuff, it is. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
What are you going to list that for? Be unstoppable.
Be unstoppable. I'll probably want about 25 for it. I would probably sell it for 15. But yeah, I think it depends on obviously various different things. But I really just like the brand. I think it has really positive meaning. And I think it's a trendy kind of name. So
Nice, good for you. Oh, congrats. All right, who's up next? This might be your moment, Andrew.
It's up to you. You want me to go? You want to go?
Your call. You go.
All right. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna do two, because the one I can't say the price, because I promised it's not even a big price, but I promised the guy when I bought it 2 days ago that I wouldn't say the price, so I won't say the price. But just to Tess's point before about saying that I'm an outlier, I just bought thecontrarian.com because I actually want to make that my personal blog. So I bought thecontrarian.com, but I can't say the price, so we won't even bother playing that game. I haven't bought anything really great in a while. I think the last time I was on the show, when I bought Enclave, I think that was the last bigger domain I bought. I bought quite a few smaller stuff in auctions, but honestly, I've been getting outbid on a lot of the stuff I want to buy. So, anyways, I'll go with BitcoinVault.com and BTCVault.com.
Okay, together as a package?
Yeah, as a package. I bought those two as a package.
So,
package deal.
okay, say them again. BitcoinVault.com
Yes.
and
And BTCVault.com.
Excuse me, guys.
BTCVault.com. Okay.
You got the vid?
No,
Miller, you got the
definitely
vid?
not. Definitely not. As my good friend said, if the virus can't find you, the virus can't get you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's how I
No
feel.
way it's found me.
No.
You can say that confidently.
Yeah, I crossed the river and burned the bridge.
Exactly. Exactly.
So Bitcoin Vault and BTCVault.com.
All right. I like both those names a lot. I think I offered you bitcoinservice.com, but you weren't even interested. So I don't know.
Because Bitcoin service is like too general.
Too general?
Yeah, like domain service. I wouldn't even like
Domain. Well, I don't know about that. I think
Well,
service is.
certainly has a very specific use.
I think Vault. I prefer bitcoinvault.com for sure, but I don't think you would have paid more than. Did you buy that recently, Drew?
Yeah, like a couple days ago.
I'm gonna say you paid. I think you paid $7,000 for both of them.
From one buyer?
As a package, I think.
Yeah. As a package, one buyer.
Seller, rather. Yeah. Okay. $7,000, you said?
I think $7,000. Yeah.
I'm going to say 2,500.
Ooh, that's pretty low. Okay. All right. Uh-oh, Andrew's starting to, what do you call this? He's doing
No, so right in the middle.
I'm looking at my domains, Tess.
Getting
ready here.
Dead smack in the middle. I paid $5,000 for the pair.
Okay.
That's a good buy. That's a good buy. I mean, Vault is an incredible keyword. I mean, I have a lot of names that 2-word names that end in Vault, and I've sold quite a few of them. And obviously, Bitcoin Vault, it's about as good as it gets, honestly. So
it's like Bank Vault.
I would have paid $5,000 for that deal as well, all day.
Yeah.
Did you go out and seek that, Drew? Did you see it somewhere? It came to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me just see. I for sure it came to me, but I don't remember if it was in a newsletter or if somebody just emailed me.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that anywhere, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, he emailed me directly. He emailed me on March 27th, and we closed the deal. There was multiple iterations of price drops. He started quite significantly higher than that. Quite significantly higher than that, and then we ended up at $5,000.
And were you making counter offers or ignoring him or what?
I offered $5,000 and I never raised. Anybody negotiates with me, unless I really, really want it, that's just how it rolls. I mean, I make you an offer. You're
like on call. Like on call.
Yeah, you want to come back to the trough? There's going to be a tax.
I don't know. I think that's a low 6-figure name, maybe high 5-figure name. That's
100%. But not yet. Not yet. Like,
I mean, BTC Vault is just kind of like to go along with it, right? I mean, bitcoinvault.com. That's the truly valuable one, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you don't want the other one floating out there because that creates a lot of confusion.
No, exactly. 100%. Absolutely. Defensively, you needed that.
Yeah. So, like, for example, we owned my Ether, my Ethereum wallet.com. We still own my Bitcoin wallet.com, but we had both of them. And then the biggest Ethereum wallet provider is myethwallet.com. And, thousands of people were coming to the myEthereumwallet.com instead. And that's a huge fucking, that's just a big liability for those guys. So eventually they came along and they bought it.
Did they? That's interesting.
Yep.
Did
They didn't have a choice. I had thousands. I told them to go away. They come back. They came many times to buy it, and I was like, no, it's not for sale because it got a lot of traffic, and the traffic was just going up, up, up. And
how much traffic do you think you were getting on a monthly basis at one point? Was it how high? In the thousands?
Oh yeah, tens of thousands.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I own mypaperwallet.com, and that's in the thousands. And I don't
really?
even, that's in the thousands. And I'm thinking that it must be because of my Ethereum wallet, but I don't know. I don't know.
No, there's probably a mypaperwallet.io or there's a country code or something.
Maybe. They came to you because they knew there was traffic leakage.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they suspected.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic in and of itself. You want to get into that or not right now?
I mean, nope. I can tell you one name that we recently bought that just to touch on that topic, there's a company called the Honeypot, and they use the .co. We have the .com, and I mean, I can't believe the amount of traffic that is being leaked. It's really.
Are you monetizing it, or what are you doing?
No, I'm not monetizing it. No, just not monetizing it at all. Just waiting.
How much traffic does it get?
It's more about the emails, to be honest, than anything. The traffic is maybe like 100 hits a day, type-ins, but it's more about the emails. I mean, it's a consumer brand, and they just, I don't know. I don't think they'll realize it for quite some time.
And they have myhoneypot.what?
Co.
Huh. Interesting.
I mean, they have huge amounts of traffic.
Shane sold mybees.com to like a bee farmer in Australia or something.
myhoneypot.co is a GoDaddy.
No, the honeypot.co.
The honeypot. Got it.
Okay, Andrew, I want to hear what you recently bought or sold. You gonna talk to us about two or one?
You want me to talk buy or sell? We've been on a buy track here.
Yeah.
I mean, you want me? Can I do a pair of buys and a pair of sells?
Let's do it. We got all day. Well, no, we don't.
So only because I want to play the price game on the buy.
Okay.
We're not gonna play the price game on the sell.
Okay.
We can already have that conversation. So I recently. Two names that are kind of taking advantage of the moment we're in, remotetesting.com and distancesocially.com.
Oh, timely.
Those ones are sells?
Acquisitions.
Remotetesting.com and distance
socially.
Socially.
Instead of socially distance. Socially, and then the remote testing is a very, very, so I have a 18-year-old senior in high school. His AP tests are going to be remote for the first time ever. But I know a lot of people in that arena. My friend founded a company here in Boston that got sold for $400 million last year that, does remote testing, proctoring. And look, remote testing is about to become, like all remote learning, the real deal.
Yeah, remote testing is a really good name. I think
the prices.
Yeah. Remote learning just sold the other day, I think, on from GoDaddy's NameFind portfolio.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
it's better than remote testing, but yeah.
Remote testing. So I mean, you're a cheap bastard. I'm gonna say I don't know, like I mean, it's worth quite a bit more, but I'm gonna say like $4,000.
Okay.
$5,000. I'm gonna say $5,000.
Okay. Josh.
Yeah, I think you paid. Yeah.
Let's just stop. Let's just not even let you guess. How's that? I'm just gonna stop you. $9.99 registered.
Wow. Remote testing was not. That's a hand reg.
Hand reg.
I was going to
Oh
say
my
three. I was
God.
going to say $3,000. So you did well there.
Hand reg.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
And social and distance socially, which is obviously not as good, but hand
No.
reg. So
Oh my God.
one more too. Distant. Another one with distant learning or distance testing, maybe distance testing. I don't remember. 3 hand regs. I don't remember the. So yeah, that's on the buy side. I had to play that game only because the price was $9.99.
That's wild.
Can't
Yeah,
imagine
that's
not working.
great.
What are you
Yeah.
pricing them at?
It says
Oh,
it says in the who is Andrew that the remote testing was registered in 2001.
Hang on a minute. Let me go to my.
It's registered in like 20 extensions.
See, I wasn't prepared for this.
You got a typo.
I did not get a typo. Hold on a
This
minute.
is on remote testing is owned by Domains.
Hang on. See, if I have to look this up now, I'm going to have to go on my Afternic account, and I'm going to have to get off of the screen with Zoom, and it's going to, maybe it was remote test. Let me just, hold on, remote test. Hang on a minute. We're going to come back to that because I don't want to screw
Hold
up
on.
the
You
show.
emailed me.
I did email you,
Let's see.
and I can't find it for some reason. So, of course, maybe I have this wrong. I maybe have to restart the whole show.
Okay. You got distancesocially.com, distancetesting.com, remotelearningprogram.com,
No.
and remotetest.com. Is that possible?
Remote test was registered on the 26th of March.
I apologize.
You know what?
So now we got to
No. This is a typical situation for any domainer because you go through, you look at a billion different possibilities, and whatever it is, you're certainly going to sell it for a lot more than $9.99. Drew, will you read me? What was the one with the test in it, though?
remote test.
Remote test.
Remotetest.com.
Plural.
No.
Really? Because
It's whatever Drew is showing in that email. That is the right answer.
Remote test.
Test plural. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Remote test.
Yeah, but still worth quite a bit more than reg fee.
Yes. What do you?
Anyway, my bad.
On the list, personally, what are you going to sell it for? What are you going to list it for?
I think I have it listed. I honestly don't know what I have it listed for. I'm embarrassed to say on Afternic, but maybe $25,000. I threw it up there at, but
okay,
that's a guess. I actually don't remember what I priced it out to be. It's a buy it now price. I just don't remember what it is. And
25.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
so we'll see.
This is a.
I'm actually talking to a couple specific companies about it. So, a couple big online education companies. We'll see. I mean, all where I have relationships, but
yeah.
again, hopefully they won't see that I got it for $9.99 on this show.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that has come back to burn me a couple times.
I'm worried. Yeah, I hear you. Well, they could, if they wanted, they could pay what they want to, what I'm asking. I don't care what I paid.
Yeah.
Never care what I paid.
The good news is that it always inspires me because it means that there's people actually watching the show.
Yeah.
All right. So now that I screwed that up royally, although it's, because I do think remote testing is a better domain than remote tests.
Can I say real quick, Andrew, this is actually a classic example. Do not be embarrassed. I think you're showing any veteran in this industry. You look at thousands of domain names per day, and you have a keen eye for selecting even a hand reg, which very few people can do today. And you're still looking at a 250x on it, right? If you're looking to sell it at 2,500, is my math right? I mean, that's nothing to, and you bought 4 of them.
25,000.
Okay. I mean, that's nothing to sniff at. Nothing.
By the way, I was able to hand register 6 domains that day. Drew probably has them. Work from home abbreviations as well. WFH, which was inspired by Drew's WFH himself. But you know, there are still hand wedges out there when you have new things happen like we're dealing with now. And, you know, to me, you have to balance, right? I'm certainly not looking to do anything that would be considered taking advantage of the virus or the situation, you know, but instead categorically, what categories are going to be strong? Work from home, remote school, remote learning, remote testing. You know, distance socially was just a little bit of a, why not play off words, right? It was the reversing around what everybody was saying. And I actually still like it. So I think there's hand wedge opportunity. You know, there's these moments, people don't think there is, but there are still hand wedge opportunities out there for these kind of times.
Yeah,
things
you're right.
like this
it's
happen.
appropriate to a certain time and a certain probably level of expertise or a certain percentage of your investment funds.
Yeah, I just saw, by the way, Paycheck Protection was bought by a company called Cabbage. I saw that in Elliot's post, and I believe that was a recent registrant. So, you know,
and
I
Cabbage,
think that
Cabbage is smart. I mean, those guys are really aggressive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, even
No
though
question.
even though none of them can lend out their own money now. I mean, they registered that because they knew what was coming. Sorry, they bought that because they knew what was coming, and they knew that they were going to have to start brokering deals to banks. If
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not? They're getting 5 points a deal. Why wouldn't they broker?
Exactly. And yeah, whatever.
Free money, man. Government guaranteed 5 points. Like, you know, they'll get them out the door as quickly as they can. All these guys, PayPal, LoanBuilder, Web.com, they're all doing it.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
So to quickly answer your two sells, because I took way too long screwing up the buy, but I guess we got some good out of it. You know, I did have two significant sales in 2019. Chocolate.com, which was actually in partnership. It was a domain that I was a partner in and owned and brokered by Kate Buckley. I actually decided to, after years of different variations, give Kate a shot, and she got it done in 5 weeks. She was awesome. You know, it's been much reported out there, you know, what has been said and what we're allowed to say in the press, and she said that, but it was a 7-figure sale, a good one, solid 7-figure sale. And, you know, I know there was a hullabaloo recently out there on NamePro or something that disputed that, but escrow.com, I believe.
Name troll.
Yeah, exactly. Escrow.com came out and validated that was what it was for Kate. And so that was a great outcome. And I sold a really great domain that I was an advisor on that I can't say anything about other than I sold it, which was tours.com, Tours. And, you know, while the travel industry has a little bit of a hiccup right now, I believe it will come back strong, and I believe the buyers are going to make, I believe they're going to come out of this thing with a 9-figure win, because they're a phenomenal operating group and they know what they're doing, and they have a long-term vision and a long-term approach, and it's a incredible domain. So can't talk about price or who it is or anything like that.
Can we still guess?
No, you can guess all you want, but you're not going to get anything.
So, but I agree. Tours.com is an amazing domain. Like, there's so many just phenomenal models there. There's
and Drew, when I was called to help sell it, great woman owned it, phenomenal woman who I've become close with, and I'm going to do other business with now. We're doing some stuff in the virtual.
Yeah, you scored that right out from underneath me.
That I don't know, but you just didn't want to deal with, you know, the entree into that, which we don't need to talk about because he's a good guy. But, you know, there was a little bit of intricacy around getting that deal initially.
Yes.
So anyway, you know, that deal. Look, it's when I first heard the name, I was like, I'm in, because I don't sell a lot of, you know, I don't pick every name. I'm not, you know, it's not my full-time thing, brokering domains or selling domains, and I'm in. And I thought it was, to me at the time, you know, maybe the most valuable or top 3 most valuable domains I, you know, had ever had my hands on as any role at any level. So, and I still think it will be.
I mean, no question, amazing name, but you've had your hands on some pretty amazing names. You're going to put that in the top 3?
Yep. I mean, again, you asking me to put it in the top 3 in the current environment, you know, or at the time I saw it.
No, I mean, you can't look at, you know, this is
at the time I saw it, I put it immediately into my head in the top 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I honestly, other than work from home, WFH.com, I'm not sure what's a great domain today, right? I mean, the small names are booming, but I mean, there's just very little businesses that are ready to, that are in growth mode. I mean, who's saying, you have unique situations. There's going to be a boom in healthcare, right? Healthcare is the new defense. There's going to be trillions going into healthcare.
Yeah.
You've got a boom in all of this sort of digitalization of work services and remote everything. So there's a boom there, right? You've got probably a boom on the lower end of like new people starting small businesses, Amazon type businesses, Shopify type businesses.
I'll give you guys, while you're doing this, keep going. I don't know if you've seen this list. This list is fascinating.
All of the top 100 industries that are booming in the top 100 bust. Is that because that is super interesting. I saw that the other day. Somebody in the domain industry posted it, but without like a link or attribution.
So I saw a list. I have a list here on my phone of top 100 fastest growing and declining categories in e-commerce as compared to March 20 versus March 19. Okay. So I started looking down this list. What's a good domain to buy? I mean, are any of these domains?
Send that to me.
I will. I'm like, are any of these domains hand-reg available still, right? And, for example, and some of them you wouldn't really want the domain name. So the number one is disposable gloves. That's obvious. And that's probably, but number two, bread machines. Number two.
I used to own breadmachines.com.
I looked to see who did when I saw this. Number 8, weight training, right? But one of these is office desks.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
in the past, we didn't sell.
And, I saw the number 3, fastest declining of many is cameras. And I'm like, shit, I actually sold cameras.com back in like 2001 or something, or 2006. I don't know. I actually brokered that domain for 7 figures.
I mean, I would imagine that market's been sort of dropping for a while because, I mean, I haven't bought a phone, a proper camera in years. I was going on a Safari, which is like, been my lifelong freaking dream, and in those dreams I had, a telescopic lens and, the big freaking $25,000 pro setup to like get out there and, I want to take pictures of rhino buttholes. And I did the whole thing with an iPhone. You know what I mean? Like I was like, what?
And they look good because I enjoyed them.
And they come out amazing.
Okay, oddly specific. Andrew, I want to know when.
Rhinobuttholes.com.
If any of you, if you saw my pictures on Facebook or Instagram or whatever back, at the time, I actually took a picture of a rhino's butthole.
You think Rhinobuttholes? I think Rhinobuttholes.com is a hand reg here.
I took my binoculars. I was wondering if this would work. So I took my binoculars and I put the lens of the camera up into the binocular eye, and I got the shot, and it worked. But it comes out with like a round thing around it. But it was super zoomed up.
Test, take control, quick.
Okay, I want to know, Andrew, when exactly did this sell? Tours.com.
It sold in the fall.
Okay, all right. So
Late
you were
fall.
lucky before this.
Or winter. No, I mean it was later than that, I think. No.
But it was all I really care
it
is
was late fall.
Coronavirus.
Late fall. It was 2019. So, by the way, I want to say, we got a great feature story on Travel Weekly on the domain, which is what led to, I called up the editor and said, hey, I think it's a great story. 71-year-old woman has owned the domain from inception. She's awesome. She was in the travel business. She's, widowed. That's why she's selling it. And, they did a feature. I got them to do a feature on it. And, that's what led to the buyer, seeing that article. So, I would say, of course, I guess sitting here today, we got lucky, but I think there was a very, very good win for everybody, the buyer, the seller. And I think ultimately, they will be able to, use this time to, build their plan and emerge when they wouldn't have been emerged yet anyway, the buyer, because they, it's not only recently. So they were still kind of formulating their business plan anyway. And my guess is they'll knock it out of the park and have a 9-figure exit. So I have no doubt in my mind. So, I wouldn't say, I think everybody got lucky. I think they got lucky too. So
that's a good way to view it. And so this article that was written was the real impetus for the sale. How long, start to finish, were the negotiations?
We had some pretty good interest in the name from, all over them, from the obvious to the less. There are a lot of companies in that space, a lot of billion-dollar companies, a lot of emerging companies, a lot of startups. Probably had about 100 different conversations, and 5 to 7 that I would say were bona fide. It really came down to we actually had a big corporate buyer lined up, and I thought we were going to get a deal done when these guys read the article and came in, the group who bought it, and ended up, going that direction, which I think was great all around. So about 6 weeks, fast in the scheme of things,
fast.
Right? Fast. I mean, look, we all know, right? I mean, it took me
that's super fast. No, that's super.
I mean, it took me 12 years to sell chocolate. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had that. When I say that, we had offers we rejected along the way because we were building a business, bigger offers. We had an offer that fell through in 2013 with a $250,000 non-refundable deposit, which we kept. But, from registration to sale, it took 12 years. So, 6 weeks is pretty quick.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's very quick.
Very fast, easy transaction.
Congrats. That's a good sale. Hey,
while we're on the topic of trends, I did want to mention one thing because I think it's helpful for the listeners. When you're looking for end sales that are trending, it's really good to sort NameBio by domains, because by domains are pretty much the only people that report sales that are large portfolio holders and their end user sales most of the time. So they've got similar type of portfolio to like huge domains. So I look at those very, very closely, and I actually sort by domains only. And you'll see very, very clear trends over the last 3 weeks. And it goes kind of into what Drew was talking about when health, massive keyword, digital keywords, care is a great keyword. And you just see patterns. And I think it's really helpful and would be really useful for people to look on that when they want to see kind of what's selling and for how much and what is potentially out there that you can get on the cheap.
Thank you. That's a great tip. Show me how you go to namebio.com. And you're saying you can search by seller?
You can search by venue, I think it's called, and the venue. If you go to the drop down, you can select by domains. By domains, obviously, most of what gets reported on NameBio is, of course, auctions, right? So it's like investor purchases. But all of those that are reported by domains, those are end user sales. So then you can see what's actually being bought by end users on the lower end of the market.
That's
right?
A great tip. Yeah.
And I was also going to say that I think, I'm a little upset, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I got very excited. I find that Jamie Zock does an incredible job. I mean, I only rediscovered that a few months ago. I mean, what he uncovers and what he posts is invaluable to me if I'm trying to sell a domain. Let me put it that way. I reference his his actual, results that he posts about and digs up all the time. And, you got to do a little homework. Some of them may look like they were recent and they were dated. But, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and nobody uncovers the stuff he uncovers.
Yeah.
No,
you
especially at this speed.
Go ahead, Drew.
He's just super fast too. Like, I don't even know how he
Breaking
gets
news.
Stuff fast, so fast.
Breaking news.
Like I don't consider myself a slouch, and I've got 3 different companies I use for monitoring, and I don't know how that dude does it, but he is on that shit like flies. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, no,
invaluable.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know how he does it either, because I've got similar monitoring set up with Domain IQ, and I'm assuming he's using mostly domain tools. But yeah, I don't know how he does it as well. One thing that I will say that's interesting is recently you can see that there's been a lot of corporate buyers that are buying call to action names. Call to action names are starting to get hot right now. So and I've seen a lot of those reported by him. So, but yeah, he does a phenomenal job.
Interesting. On the call to action, couple examples?
Just like 3 words, like time to do something, or it's that, or, you know, anything like that. Typically I've seen quite a few in kind of like the healthcare space right now, but it's all timing, you know?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Thanks guys. Hey, let's pause for a minute. We're going to take a minute to shout out to our advertisers for today's show, who support us in our mission to educate people in the domain name industry.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
So it's time for the next segment where we go over to the marketplace list. This segment is sponsored by NameJet.com. We're reviewing domains heading to auction soon. If you like one of the names on the list, you do need to click through now, because once the auction starts, you can't put in a minimum bid or just watch it. So just for transparency, Sherpas, do you own or are you brokering any of the names on the list?
No.
Just bidding.
Cool. Yeah, aren't we all? All right. Well, let's see here what we got. Andrew, I think you should go first this time. What jumps out to you as, you know, what we review here is usually what domains do you like on this list? What domains should a newer investor try to acquire maybe? And at what price would you recommend?
And I'm sorry, since I came to this kind of late, is this the blue list starting with Porto.com, Oak.net?
It is.
About 15 domains? Okay.
Yep.
So, you know, just looking quickly, you know, what jumps out at me, I mean, I like On the Ball. That's kind of a, you know, has that kind of unstoppable, be unstoppable call to action component to it.
Mm-hmm.
Bee House, I mean, I don't like it, but, you know, I guess if you're out there getting My Honey Pot and Honey Pot, you may want to think about Bee House. And I mean, I think, you know, I think, look, I think Jewish school is interesting because I think, again, education is going to explode in all categories and all aspects online. You know, remote tests, remote testing, distance learning, remote learning. Look, I got a senior in high school who's supposed to be headed to Tulane in the fall, and I don't know if he's freaking going, right? I mean, so, you know, how that's going to start yet. And don't want him to hear that, but, you know, I don't know, 50-50, right? He'll go eventually. So, you know, to me, Jewish school is you know, it's a big category of schools, and, you know, whether, you know, in the old days, right, you would think, well, you'll search for Jewish schools, or, you know, if you're a Jewish school, you know, Schechter, a national Jewish school, maybe you'll buy that domain. But now it's kind of like, are you going to be an online Jewish school, right? And that's not a horrible name for it. So I see Drew's already buying it. He's already bidding while we're on the call.
He very well may be. You never know.
No.
Drew, what jumps out to you here? And at what pricing are you thinking for some of these, especially for newer investors?
So, I mean, I like a lot of these names. You know, I'm not sure if this is the market for new investors, to be honest with you, because things are selling for probably either they're selling for, you know, there's a great quote, which I won't get the quote right, and I don't remember who said it first, but it's something to the extent of the market is never wrong. The market is never irrational. It's you who are wrong and irrational. So I say that the market is probably higher than it should be, but that's wrong. It's just that I'm cheaper than the market that I need to be to participate in this market.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I think nobody looks at it that way as well, and I wholeheartedly agree with that.
But there are a lot of names I really like on this list. But my favorite one is slingshots.com. I don't know why. I'm generally not a huge plural fan, and slingshot.com is definitely 100x better than the plural. But I still like slingshots.com. I don't know why. That name immediately popped out at me. It's got a little traffic, which is always a good sign. I just like that name. It's one of these things I can't explain it. I don't know why I love it, but I love slingshots.com.
And that's
Hitting on it?
someone with your level of expertise, go ahead and buy it. And someone who's newer to the market, you can have like one name in your investment portfolio that you can't explain why, but not too many.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a lot. I can't explain it, but okay. Probably my second favorite name on here is Data Matrix. I haven't done any trademark search or anything. I have no idea. There probably is a bunch of trademarks around Data Matrix, but it also probably has generic meanings. Again, I have done zero due diligence on this, so bid away and buy at your own risk. But datamatrix.com to me is, a unicorn data name. That's a really, really, really good domain. It's a little bit of a bingo game, but I think that's probably, a pretty good call option on a very big and not ever going to stop growing industry. So I like datamatrix.com a lot. I also really like oak.net. And this is not a name that any of the newer buyers should buy. I probably will buy it because I seem to be the highest bidder on .nets in the market, other than Amar sometimes. And I don't know why I just can't get over my addiction to .net, even though I don't have a lot to base that love affair on. But I just like Oak. I mean, I think it goes back to what's the oh God, I'm so spaced. What's the movie? McGuire. What the baseball?
Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. No, yeah, just show me the money. So Jerry Maguire is negotiating with one of his clients, and the guy says, my word is stronger than oak. And I don't know why that always stood with me, but I like oak. I mean, the largest
lot of venture firms and private equity firms out there.
Tons. The biggest one in the world is
oak.
Oak. So I like oak just cause I don't know why. I mean, it's a .net. It's a hard sell. Probably sitting on it for a while, but I like oak a lot.
So, I mean, I'm going to break it down from what you just said. You like it because it's a 3-letter, one word, has exceptionally strong connotations. Everyone knows how to spell it. It passes the radio test, and there are a billion end users in that space.
So when you say it that way.
That's what you just said.
Yeah. So yes, I like oak a lot. I mean, honestly, I like a lot of these names. I really like World Expo. I love Space Center. I mean, you have the Kennedy Space Center, for better or worse, was the benefactor of billions of dollars in this last stimulus package. There's an awful lot of other places in the country that probably needed that money that didn't get it, but Kennedy Space Center, they got it. So, anyways, spacecenter.com, I love it. Space exploration and just the whole, space exploration is full on, right? Like you've got the richest people in the world, each have their own pet space company. The largest private equity funds in the world are funding, space mining operations to start mining precious metals and ore from meteors. So I just, Space Center is a great, again, it's a call option on a booming industry. I could go on. There's quite a few. For whatever, the outlier here for me for whatever reason, I really like it. It's just aesthetically, when I'm looking at this list, it's one of those names that speaks to me. LazyBear.com. I have just no justification for liking that name, but I just like it. LazyBear.com is a great adjective with a really strong, animal noun.
That bar that you open up someday.
Yep, that's it. Lazy Bear. Lazy Bear. It might be my nickname in like 20 years. Yeah.
I like it too. Any price points you want to throw out for any of these names?
I mean, I don't want to go through each of them, but like, let's say on the bigger ones, I mean, the other one that's, Porto.com I like because I live in Portugal and it's, it's a city in Portugal, but, you actually spell it Oporto, not Porto. Technically, Americans spell it Porto, but, I don't know. I like it and I'll bid for it, but it's probably going to sell for more than what it's actually worth because people are going to find out that the Portuguese won't pay anything for it. Like they literally probably wouldn't pay $100. But,
okay, you still have not given a single number.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So slingshot.com. I expect that this will probably go for like 8 to 15 grand on NameJet. And I'd be pricing it for probably 75. I might price it at 150, but I think 75 to 150 is the range of where it should sell. Somebody comes along, they offer 50, and they're not moving. I'd probably take 50 for it. But I think it's a 75 to 150 name, and I think you can get it for that nice sweet spot of somewhere between 5 and 10%.
Okay.
So I think that's a good solid name. Oak.net, again, I mean, I'm probably going to be the buyer. It's probably $2 grand, $3 grand, something like that. Data Matrix, I bet, is going to go more than what people expect. That's one of those names that's like, you're like, yeah, I'll probably grab that name for $2-3 grand, and then it's going to pop off for like 6 to 8, maybe even 10.
You got to make sure there's not a UDRP on that.
Yeah, 100%.
My guess is there could be, honestly. So
I'd be shocked if there isn't. Right? You got to just see how boxed in you are. But it is a hell of a name. I'll leave the rest.
I like
All right,
Oak.net.
Joshua,
Huh?
your turn here.
I like Oak.net.
So now I got competition.
So I think that 5 years ago, the best name on that list would have been Oak.net, hands down. Today, I think, like Drew says, I think you'll end up getting it for less than 2K, to be honest. But I like that name. I think it's a great name. I wouldn't buy it.
Lately, I've been the only bidder. I'm literally the only bidder.
Yeah. I mean, I like that name
on .net.
But I'm not going to bid for it just because I can't move any .nets to end users ever. But when they do sell, I think you can get a good price for them. I like Space Center. There's been a bunch of space related names on NameJet recently. Spaceintelligence.com just sold for like $1,000 on NameJet the other day. I think Space Gaming was there, sold for like $500. You're gonna see Space Center, I think, get closer to about 5K, maybe even higher. That's a really great name. I just sold Space Pioneers the other day, actually. In general, I think that's a good name. Let's see, Mind Coach. Mind Coach is a cool name. We haven't spoken about that. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay more than $500 for it, really, because I'm just not sure the end user buyer is paying more than, say, 10K. But that's a nice name. I think it's one of those that if you were to get it and you did it right, it would sell pretty quickly. In terms of ones that stand out for me that we haven't spoken about, I quite like Powerway. The reason why I like it is because I could see myself naming a company Powerway. It's a cool little brand. If you can get that for less than $1,000 or so, I think that's a good buy. Health Lawyer, you want to be careful, I think, with Health Lawyer, although, you know, it stands out as something that makes a ton of sense maybe right now because, you know, it's got the keyword health and lawyer. No search volume. It's like 140 searches per month. And I don't think there's much value there. And even if there was a buyer, how much would you pay? I'm not sure. So I think I would stay away from that one. But yeah, I really like On the Ball. We spoke about that one. On the Ball. You know, I think it's a very, very common thing you say, right? You're on the ball. So, you know, we've talked a lot about these kind of things before. When it's a common phrase, or they're two words that go together well, or three words that go together very well, those sell because they're ingrained in people's minds, right? So when I see On the Ball, I'm automatically thinking about, oh, you know, this company is with it. This is something that, you know, I know is going to be done very, very well. So I like that name a lot. Drew liked Lazy Bear. I like Lazy Bear as well. It's one of those names where it might not sell that quickly just because lazy from a branding sense has obviously a negative connotation. But when the right buyer does come along, I think that you get a good price for it. But yeah, overall,
Lazy and Bear are paired well together. And who was it? Amar? Somebody.
I prefer Crazy Bear. Crazy Bear, I'd be all over that shit. I'd be like,
huh. But somebody said,
I need to own that.
like if it sounds like it could be a good beer, like it could be an IPA.
That was Shane. That was Shane. Shane has the IPA test. If it can be the name of an IPA beer, it's a good brandable.
Right? Lazy Bear, sign me up. I don't even like beer.
Yeah. No, that would be like an award-winning IPA.
Well,
Lazy Bear would be an award.
It reminds me of that company that sell furniture and office chairs, Lazy Boy, right? I think.
Yeah,
you're right.
I checked data metrics real quick, and as they're all, from what I can see, they're all dead marks. So I don't think there's any active trademarks out there for that.
I mean, we don't give legal advice, but we check stuff and throw out what we see, you know, for the Sherpa network to hear.
No. I mean, if like Drew said, if there's no trademark issues there, I think it might actually be the best name on the list. From my.
I agree with that. But I think it's going to be priced accordingly.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those names that people are going to go, whoa, I didn't think that was going to go that high.
Yeah. Joshua, I think you might be biased because you're turning into one as you grow all your hair out.
I'm turning into a lazy bear or a crazy bear?
I don't know. Good. We'll find out.
I'm turning into a crazy bear, I'll tell you that much. I'm not lazy, but I'm crazy as a bat.
I looked up Lazy Bear. It was registered in 96.
Lazy Bear is a great bar. Great bar. That's what I think about the Lazy Bear.
Yeah. There's an actual bar called the Lazy Bear?
No, there should probably.
There should be. Yeah, there should be.
Probably is. The Great Lost Bear was a bar.
That's yeah.
Great Lost Bear up in Maine.
Okay. Let's do this. We got one more section. Let's take a moment for our sponsors. Everything okay, Drew?
Yeah. I just didn't. I forget. Whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, we're running over time. I mean, we can call it quits too. But first, our sponsors. Our sponsors who support us in our educational mission. Let's hear from them real quick.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY, ft.com.
All right. So we're going to do a third section, but we've been chatting forever. Do you guys still have time?
I have a hard stop in 12 minutes.
Let's go.
Okay. I was thinking, since Josh is such a crypto guy, and there's a lot going on in that space, that would be a good topic for right now. You guys down? You want to talk about what's going on in the markets in general and crypto markets specifically?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I'm fine with talking about that. I'm not. Yeah, we can talk.
Okay.
I'll be more of a bystander for this one.
All right. Well, you
Well,
can talk
more
about
markets in general. More markets in general. It could be
Okay.
domain market. Could be just sort
Stock
of
market.
general. And
Yeah.
stock market. Whatever, anything. Gold market.
And what you're seeing
currency.
that are lining up, and what you're seeing that are really different. So, Andrew, you want to go first on this one?
Take it back to domains.
So,
anywhere we can.
Look, I follow Bitcoin a little bit. I have not been to crypto. I've stayed away from crypto, not because I don't believe in it, not because I don't think it's good. I think it's probably, a very good time to buy Bitcoin. If I had to make a uneducated, uninformed guess from the small little bit of educating I've been doing, I think price-wise, longer term. I don't think it's a day trade per se, especially with the fees that they skim off. As far as the domain market, I saw a post on one of the more respected domain blogs or domain Twitter feeds last night, and talking about, the state of the selling domains and buying domains. And I don't think it's any different. I was saying this to Drew this morning. I think unsolicited sales have always been the best sales, and they're obviously still going on every day. You read Jamie Zock and follow .weekly and follow by domains list that you referenced, Josh. And, I've sold a name in the last week, and you all probably have. And unsolicited sales, sure. Is there some, let us try to negotiate a little differently and a little harder based on the crisis and the pandemic? Of course. Ultimately, do you need to lower the price based on that? It depends on the domain. I mean, was telling Drew before the call, I have a strong offer on a domain I'm brokering from GoDaddy right now underway. And, I don't think ultimately the pandemic affects the price on that domain at the levels we're talking about. I think solicited sales are hard pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, during the pandemic, right? I mean, I think that you have to be obviously sympathetic about soliciting sales, or at least, look, you don't know if the person you're sending that to has a COVID-19 emergency in their family, right? So you have to be sensitive, and you have to be smart, and you have to lead with compassion. But I still think you can sell domains and solicit sales, especially in categories that are, I don't think I'd be selling a domain that's on number one in the list of declining e-commerce necessarily, but I think you have to be selective and be smart. So I think the domain market is just as strong. Look, I think domain assets are better than before this because online is more important. And other than that, I mean, the stock market, will drive some of this, but I think it's really just a short-term measure of what's going on in the economy and the world. Right now, as I was telling Drew before the call, I think there's some opportunities in a correction. We were talking about this, but I don't want to get into it. That's my whole world, and I'm no longer an expert, so I'm going to stay out of that one.
Totally stay out of it. You got anything to say? Because you have a heavy background in Wall Street.
Drew and I talked about it beforehand. I mean, I think that there are going to be opportunities. You have to look at the balance sheet. If there are stocks out there where companies aren't going to go out of business, okay, they may be in a downturn. They may be struggling and fighting this space right now, their category with everything going on. But there are companies like I said to Drew, I think on a correction, not right here, Cheesecake Factory is not going away. I think it will be one of the survivors, even when I think a lot of restaurants are going to struggle. And I think they have an incredible business model. And I think JetBlue is not going away as a domestic airline, especially with their focus on domestic, because it will come back faster than international travel, for sure.
Totally.
So those are two that jump out. But right now I'm getting a little bit burned short some stuff in a very fast rising market. I just think there's still a correction to come. I just do.
Sure.
It's just there's no legs to this thing. There's There's one bidder. There's one bidder in this market.
Mm-hmm.
One.
Yeah.
We'll see. I hope so. It's getting a little hairy.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at a 28.35 S&P, man.
I mean, but listen, I don't know. I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. This bull has no legs. The emperor's got no clothes. That's my take. This thing is the Fed is the only buyer. There's no bid in the market. And I think you're about to go into a no bid situation where literally things are going to go free fall because you know, before COVID-19 even was on anyone's radar, right? Even before January, I mean, we were headed for one of the largest debt crises, probably the largest debt crisis in the history of finance. That was in the cards before COVID-19 even made it on the scene.
No question.
And, you know, COVID-19 just accelerated it. And so I think across the board, whether you're talking, I don't think it matters what market you're talking about, including Bitcoin. And you know, I'm a huge Bitcoin believer. Like, I was just telling my friend the other day, I don't know, like, other than like, you know, a Bitcoin here or a Bitcoin there, like, and I bought a lot of things with Bitcoin. I traded Bitcoin for domain names a lot, but I don't think I've ever actually sold Bitcoin. Like, I don't think I've ever said, oh, I think the market's going down, I'm going to sell Bitcoin. And not that that's a good thing. I'm not bragging. That's not I'd be far prouder if I had sold Bitcoin at $18,000 and then bought it back when it got back to $3,000. So I'm not saying that you know, my point is simply that I am a Bitcoin believer through the thick and the thin. And I think that everything sells off, everything. I think that you're about to see what most people in the market have never witnessed, including myself, a complete insolvency crisis. And it's just going to be, it's like when they demolish a skyscraper and they start at the top and it just goes, you know, explosion, boom. And then just before that stuff is about to hit the layer below, you know, the next explosives go off. And then the next ones go off. And then the next ones go off. And it just starts dropping like this. And that's what's going to happen. There is no other alternative. The Fed, the United States Fed, cannot buy everything. They just can't. So we're going to see. I'm reluctant to say the word can't, because they've shown themselves that everything that people thought was impossible is no longer impossible. They last week announced they're buying junk bonds. Like, what? Why is the federal government buying junk bonds, right? Like, I honestly, like, I know we're on a domain show, and I am not a finance expert, but I, you know, tinker. And more than anything, I'm intellectually fascinated by the mechanics of the world of finance. And when you know, I pay taxes in the United States, despite not living there. I receive zero benefit from the United States, zero. I receive absolutely unequivocally not one single drop of benefit from the United States government, not one. And yet I pay taxes because I'm required to. I would not if I wasn't required to, just to be clear. But I am required to, and so I do. And I don't appreciate that, you know, I'm a conservative investor, right? Like, I take a lot of risk in my business, and therefore in my investments personally, I'm extremely conservative, mostly focused on capital preservation and, you know, beating real inflation. And, but when I see the federal government taking tax dollars, partially mine, and buying literally junk bonds, like does the word junk, doesn't that set off alarm bells? Like, how can the federal government say, oh, we're going to go out and buy junk bonds? Now, a company is graded as junk because it's made poor decisions, right? It has poor leadership. It hasn't done the things you need to do to maintain a strong balance sheet, which is what you do as a business. So when the federal government is using tax dollars to buy corporate debt that is considered junk status, right? Junk status, so that ETFs can't own it, pension funds can't own it, nobody can own it, right? Except for high-risk investors.
This is what this is to some nationalize losses and privatizing profits.
Yes. So in that environment, anything's possible, to be honest with you. So, anyways, I don't know. I think we're going to see a complete insolvency crisis. I think it's all going to come down. I think you're going to see the market drop by 50%, 40, 50%, maybe 70% from where we are right now. I think Bitcoin drops to 3. I think gold drops to 1,500.
Yep.
This is a great conversation. Andrew was a super sport. He joined us at the last minute.
Yep.
And we've talked forever, and he has a hard stop. Do you guys want to keep and let Andrew go? Or should we?
No, because we're not even talking domain names, so it's all good.
We're good.
It's all good.
We're good.
It's all good.
Okay.
And I don't want to skate on thin ice anyway, so.
Okay.
Apologize, guys. I got to chair a 15-person Zoom thingy here at 1. So.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Andrew.
Thank you so much. This was really fabulous, guys. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining.